10, perfectionism. This is the biggest obstacle we have in our family. So John doesn't want to do anything until it can be done 100% right? And me, I just want to get the job done. Good enough is perfect, which means that 90-degree angles aren't so important to me. 89, 90, 91, not 127. Okay. So with John, he wants everything just perfect. So we had moved, and our water barrels were empty. And that is a big no-no. You have water barrels and they're empty. So I filled them all. Well, I didn't fill them all perfectly and wash them out perfectly. And one of them actually split down the side because I was a little bit too greedy and put too much water in it. But
they were outside.
And they were outside. The room in the house, they were outside. But they were covered with a black ponding basin tarp. So I come home one day and the barrels that I had emptied, or that I had filled, were empty in my garage. And they sat there all winter long empty. I kept telling him, so something happens and we don't have any water to drink, it's because it had to be perfect. Now, good enough would have gotten us the barrels, right? We would have had water to drink. Okay.
But now it is perfect. So somewhere in the middle there's a case to be made. And I am guilty as charged. Okay, excuse number 9 from our research. Avoiding responsibility. Somebody else will take care of me. The government will step in. Of course, they'll be here right as soon as it happens and they'll take care of us.
Okay.
Think again.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that one. Besides, we're responsible for ourselves, right? That's huge. Okay, it can't happen to me. People who just really think that always happens to somebody else and not to me. And the truth of it is, it can happen to any of us anytime.
Okay, attitude. I won't ever use it. Why store it? I might be labeled a fanatic. I had a neighbor in Orem when we lived there who had wheat that was old.
Oh?
And he said, I was told to get this 40-something years ago. He says, I threw it all away because I'm never, ever going to use it. And I thought, well, you might want to hold on to that. So, I don't know. We just encounter some people with attitude, not me, and of course none of you.
And I have no attitude at all. Okay, psychologically exhausting. Is this a lot to think about?
That back here. Who said psychologically it's exhausting?
It's huge. It is a lot to think about.
Okay.
Okay, so next one.
Okay, time. Somebody mentioned time. And we all have a limited amount of time. And life is very busy sometimes, very, very busy. And that's why we advocate taking this in small bites. I know people who kind of spend their whole life doing this. Most of us do not have that time to spend. We encourage you to just make this a small part of your life. Blend it in with all the other things you do. It's called Provident living, which means what, Mama?
Provident living. I forgot. It's true because this is the phrase that I work on all the way.
Preparing for the future while thoroughly enjoying the present.
Okay. That's what I said. That's right. Okay. Money. Okay. Prepping can take a lot of money, right? But we save a lot of money because of the way that we manage our food, because we buy a lot when it's on sale, and we do a lot with basics, just the grains and the rice, and then we have our big garden. So we spend a lot less because we are preppers than you might think.
Somebody mentioned space, and I think that was Natalie. Down in the neighborhood where we used to live, you don't have basements, and that makes it really tough for people. And so we've heard this a lot. I just don't have the space. And yet you just need to be creative. We find ways to create space above doorways, under beds, all kinds of creative places. If you have the desire to get it done, you'll get it done. You'll find the way to overcome those excuses.
Okay, so in our bathroom we have, one of those toilet closets, and John built me just by using, was it 12 inches? A 12-inch shelf right above the door. There's enough toilet paper for an entire year, just over the door. I thought that was pretty clever, and nobody knows it's there. Nobody can see it, so it doesn't look ugly. Knowledge. And it's so handy. Okay, so knowledge, that is a huge thing. What do I do? You know, one of the classes that I went to that was really discouraging for me, the person who was teaching talked about kerosene and how it was okay to burn the home because it only produced carbon dioxide, which is what you breathe out anyway. And it's not true. Kerosene produces carbon monoxide. You have to be very, very careful. And so the knowledge that you need to acquire to prep safely and appropriately is big. So that was another excuse.
Okay, and number one excuse, lack of desire. For some people, there's just not a desire. And if there's no desire, it won't get done. It absolutely won't get done. So as we teach our classes, we really emphasize the motivation piece of it. I mean, the knowledge part of it, the learning part of it is important, but until you're motivated, it's just not going to happen. So that's part of what we try and help people do is gain that desire. A little bit of dynamite under the hind end there and things happen.
But one of the things we don't want you to do is to be motivated by fear. Because we want to be motivated for good purposes, because we want to take care of our family and we want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem, not motivated by fear. Okay? Well, you could do that. He's cute like that, huh?
So what's your excuse? Oh, good. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing anything.
We'll see.
'Cause then I have to get out the sword to slay the excuses. I mean, that's the first thing we ask people to do. Figure out what it is that's stopping you. A lot of people can't readily put their hand on what it is that's stopping them. Some of them know right off, but some don't really know until they kind of go through and think about some of these things and figure out what it is that's slowing them down, what's keeping them from doing what they should. And then we slay those excuses and life gets good.
You're so threatening with a plastic sword. So when we wrote the Practical Prepper, we wanted to slay all those excuses. So it has ideas and ways so you can prep without much money. You can prep without spending a lot of time, and it's got the knowledge that you needed. We tried to cover all of those so that the book could actually slay your excuses. Okay.
Okay, so part of the book is creating action plans. And, you know, at least for me, I have to break things down. Eileen kind of just jumps in head first and starts. But I have to really break things down and create action plans. So that's a part of what we do with this book is refer people to our website where they can create their own action plan. When you break things down, suddenly it's not so difficult, it's not so big.
Yeah, so in the book, we had wanted to include the action plans in the book, but there just wasn't physically enough room. So when you go to our website, it's all free. There's an action plan for every chapter.